When women compete against women, it is fair. When you put a man in women's athletics, it's not fair. And women have nowhere else to go. If you take away the fairness in our sports, we literally have nowhere else to go. So anyone can play sports, but where is it most fair? And for women, that's only against women.
The Supreme Court is considering landmark cases in Idaho and West Virginia challenging transgender sports bans. Let's bring in former federal prosecutor John Fishwick to break down that and more. And John, you just heard a former college athlete's perspective who is involved in this case. Many have said it does not seem as though Title IX and the 14th Amendment are going to pose as big of a challenge in these cases, given the justice's comments. What do you think?
Yeah, I think particularly Justice Kavanaugh and the other conservative justices were saying today that in order to protect girls and women under Title IX and under the Equal Protection Law, they need to uphold these bans that basically say that transgender girls and women cannot play in girls or women's sports. And the Supreme Court seems comfortable with that. They really seem to be saying in a number of these cases that they're going to leave it up to the states to decide that. So if the states decide that transgender girls and women cannot participate in girls' sports, the Supreme Court seems to be good with that and say that is fine with them. They're going to stay out of it.
We may not get a final decision for months, it looks like, but we'll check in on that. Tomorrow, the Supreme Court could issue a ruling as Trump's tariffs hang in the balance. Another story we are watching. And of course, we don't know in advance which cases, John, will be decided. But if we zoom in on Trump using the emergency powers to authorize his global tariffs, how likely is it that justices actually uphold that as lawful?
Yeah, so we'll all be watching our computers tomorrow to see if the tariff case comes down. You know, for Trump to win this case, he's got to run the tables on a number of legal issues. One, as you mentioned, Dee, is the emergency powers, that he has the emergency power to do this. And the other is that Congress appropriately delegated this power to him under this 1977 law. If I have to read the tea leaves here, I think the Supreme Court is going to strike down the tariffs that President Trump has imposed at the beginning of his administration. His administration has backup arguments to put on new tariffs if that is the case. But looking at that oral argument, I think the Supreme Court is going to strike down the tariffs because Trump has to win several issues, and I don't think he can win them all.
Really quickly, is there any precedent for using global tariffs in this way?
Well, you know, this is all new. We've never used this 1977 law for this purpose. And so I think the Supreme Court is going to have to find a lot of reasons for Trump to win. And if he just is tripwired on any one of them, they're going to strike the tariffs down.
Only a few more seconds, John. President Trump said today the government will cut off payments to sanctuary cities starting in February due to their immigration policies. Can he legally do that?
So, Dee, I think what President Trump signaled today is he wants to take this case to the Supreme Court. He's lost two of these battles with district courts in San Francisco and in New York. But I think what he's saying is, I'm going to appeal these decisions. I'm going to withhold the funds on February 1st. I expect to lose some of these early court decisions and that the judges will say I can't do that. But they want to take this to the Supreme Court where they've had a very broad and muscular view of executive presidential power. And so I think Trump's legal team wants to take the case there.
We'll see. Former federal prosecutor John Fishwick, thank you for joining us tonight on the National News Desk.
Thank you.